All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of No Man's Sky. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault here today. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. And don't forget to leave a comment and a like on the video down below. Let me know what you think of everything. And don't forget to also share us on social media. We would appreciate that. Woohoo! We're on a very cold planet right now. So, I've spent the day cooking in-game, and I've come up with quite a few different recipes. Cooking is an interesting and often, in my opinion, overlooked part of No Man's Sky. I don't see a lot of information about it. Not a lot of people are doing videos on it, and it seems like something that needs to be looked at a little bit. Why can't I switch perspectives here? That's weird. Oh, this guy's killing me. Toggle camera view? No? Okay. I'll have to do it later. So, cooking is an interesting and tedious project, and the gaining food items, the things you need to cook is a little challenging. But we did it. We used that one nutrient processor. It's called. There's a room for it on the freighter, and it's also one of those little deployable items that you just put down pretty much anywhere. So it's a lot of things to factor into cooking. And what we came up with, I made stacks of 50 each, are stellar custard, fruity pudding, and fruity ice cream. All of these took about 3 or 4 steps to make. Mystery meat stew was pretty easy. It was a real easy recipe. And the cocoa, the bittersweet cocoa, is something I've had in my inventory for a while. I don't remember how I originally did it, but we'll get back to it eventually. Just throw that egg in there for now. And let's see if we can get back to our first person view. We can't, we broke it. Alright, cool. So weird. So why do we want food? Food gives you little bonuses and all that, but we're not here to talk about the food. What we're here to talk about today is not this either. I'm all discombobulated. What we're here to talk about today are our organic vessels, right? Here's our wonderful fleet. We still got some guys out, but when you first get these guys, especially on a low level, sometimes they have these horrible, horrible stats. Like, here's one that's a 1122, this Rapunzel AA2. So first thing we're going to do, just to keep track of them, is we're going to rename him. And we're going to call him the foodie, because we're going to experiment on him with a variety of different foods and see how these statistics, do they increase, do they decrease, do they redistribute? As you can see here, we have the ability to digest and redistribute stats. So we need to select something. So we'll start right off the bat with the stellar custard, and we'll feed it to him. Insufficient nutrient variety. Okay. Well, that was anticlimactic, right? Put that back in the suit there, and we'll try some fruity pudding. Wow. So the fruity pudding bumped up the combat stat by an enormous amount. That's cool. So now all of a sudden we have a combat vessel, right? The fruity ice cream, insufficient nutrient variety. Okay, let's go back to the custard. So that reverted it back to nothing. Okay. Mystery meat stew. Nothing. The bittersweet cocoa. Exploration. So what we've learned so far is that the fruity pudding gave us better combat, and the bittersweet cocoa better exploration. Let's look at it again. Back to combat. All right. So how is that going to work on a ship that's already got a better stat? Well, let's take a look. Let's stick with another C class. So here's the first Razid. And we'll give him a custard. And we've got a total of 27, 32, 36 points here, right? 25 being an exploration. So 11, 15, 32. Combat is better, and some of the others were reworked a little bit. All right. Fruity pudding. Exploration's better. Fruity ice cream. Combat jumped up. Mystery meat stew. Pretty bad overall. And to be honest, that's a lesser... We should be starting with this one because that's not as good of a dish as some of these others that required a lot more work. And look at that, we got a trade vessel now all of a sudden. Back to the combat. All right, well, cool. So that's interesting. Here's another crappy one. Let's start with the mystery meat stew. Nothing. Cocoa. It's combat. But in the last one, it was trade. So they're kind of unique per vessel, I guess. Now we have an industrial ship. Huh. Let's look at this one. We'll start with, let's try something else because we've got some, let's try this crystalline soup. A trade. Solartillo. Industrial. Fruity ice cream. Exploration. Looks like it's just moving. Yeah, it's just moving up the ladder. That one reverted it back to nothing, so we'll go back to that. Insufficient. Huh. Is this where... Industrial. Free ice cream. Exploration. Oh, it was the crystalline soup, right? That was trade? There we go. So yeah, we're back to a trade vessel. That is pretty wild. Do a quick save off so we keep those stats that we've built up on these guys a little bit. Now I'd like to try doing this on a high level guy, right? So let's look at our S class ones. We've got 4 of them. He's out on a mission. He is probably, well, he's not too bad. This one has the least highest stat, right? At a 14 in combat. So let's play around with this guy for a little bit. Let's start with the crystalline soup. So he's trade and industrial, decent on the other stuff. Okay. Solartillo kind of spreads him out a little more evenly. Bittersweet cocoa. Really didn't seem to do anything, did it? No. Whoops. There we go. We're back on him. The mystery meat, probably nothing. Wow. Okay. So it worked pretty good on this guy. There doesn't appear to be a lot of rhyme or reason to this, does there? It just seems to be pretty random as far as how these stats are distributed. go back to the mystery meat, because that was, yeah, look at that. Solid industrial, decent in the combat. Exploration and trade are not too bad. I'm not messing with this guy because he's fantastic. Huh. Well, here's a mediocre A ship. See, nothing above an 8, right? Let's start with that crystalline suit. We get a little bump for the exploration there. The solar teal. Exploration and industrial. Looking decent. Okay. A little bittersweet cocoa. And just heavy on the combat. Everything else is mediocre. Mystery meat. Big time exploration. Everything else, eh. Fruity ice cream. Just not good overall. Fruity pudding. Combat and industrial. And stellar custard. Big time on the trade. So I think this was the one that gave him, yeah, nice exploration. Look at that. So he's got higher exploration than any of my S-class now. That's pretty wild. Here's another mediocre one. Well, this is a B class, so let's take a look at him, and we'll play around there for a little bit. 11 on the combat. 19 and a 10. $21, but everything else sucks. Okay. Mystery meat time. Oof. Just bad. Took his teeth right out of him. Oof. The cocoa was horrible. The solar teal. Nice industrial. Decent combat. Okay. And then the crystalline soup. Not good. So what was good on this one? Was it the fruity ice cream? Great on the trade there. Maybe it was the pudding. Yeah, look at that. That's just... Yeah, I'm not really seeing a lot of rhyme or reason to this, but that's okay. So as we have these vessels that are making their way up and improving on it, here's a interesting one, all fours, right? Let's see how everything gets distributed. So there's 16 points total. Wow, just straight up an exploration vessel. A 2362. Let's try that again with him. Just to see if it does exploration again. See, trade that time, right? Yeah, the rest of them have some bumped up stats already. So, my conclusion at this point is that there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And you just need to experiment. Now, getting food stuff is, like I said, a little bit challenging, right? But one of the easiest ways I've found is to find a planet where you have a decent amount of creatures around and set up two things there. And we'll go take a look at one of these real quick. Now there is a No Man's Sky Assistant app that you can get for the phone. Get it from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and it will show you various recipes and what you need to do to make these recipes and all. So I highly recommend that because it is a godsend for figuring these things out, because they are a bit of a challenge, I'll tell you that. I've been playing this game for a couple of years and I really haven't made much in the way of food. I've just kind of screwed around a little bit and tried little things out here and there on the very most basic levels. So here's the nutrient processor. But you'll see creatures walking around, and when you zoom in on him, you see how it says he produces tall eggs? We got any others around? This guy over here produces wild milk. So you need an automated feeder and a livestock unit. And those things can be found right in here with under the advanced technology tab, right? You'll see the livestock unit requires a couple of 4 metal platings, 2 polyfibers, and a little fascium. And then here we have the automated feeder, which is metal plating, amino chamber, and creature pellets. So these aren't early game items. You'll have to be able to... What the hell is that? You have to be able to build these items, and it could take a little bit to do that. But once you have them both set up... Is that like meteors falling? You throw some creature pellets in the feeder. Yeah, we have a freaking storm going on, a meteor storm. That's crazy. So these animals will feed, and this machine here, this livestock unit, will harvest from them. So he will give us wild milk. Now this can be done manually just by holding that down and feeding the creature, but being that he's already ate, it won't happen. Let's go find a wild one out here that isn't around the cooker. Do it like that. Here we go. Here's a guy over here. So if you want to do this in the wild, it's far more time consuming. Oh, I don't have any creature pellets. Hold on. All right. Where'd you go, buddy? There he is. So we can run up to him, offer him food, and then afterward, we can collect eggs from him. This guy gives us tall eggs. Okay? That's one way to gather ingredients, but the livestock feeder is far superior. Who is this? A sea level ship just landed here? Okay. Now another way to gather items is to hold down on your L2 and look around, and you're going to see this right here. Looks like a leaf. There's one there. There's one there. There, Star Bramble. I'm assuming that's a big patch of it over there. But we're going to go over to get these impulse beans. Now Star Bramble, you can grow. But impulse beans you cannot. So the only way to get these is to collect them. And it's a real simple task. You just run up to the plant and hold down square. And now I just picked up a couple of impulse beans. What is that? 4 or 5 of them. So that's not bad. At least you're not collecting one at a time. This guy would give us milk. Alright, well let's head back over to our little base. Where is it? It is this way. And let's see how our feeder's doing. Now when you're done feeding and collecting your goods that you want, you just go ahead and take the creature pellets out of the machine, because they'll disappear on you. There's some dung. A little byproduct there. You can always pick that up and get a little fascium. I think sometimes there's mordite as well. Wasn't much, obviously. Look at that. Let's head back on down. A little bit of a disappointing turnout today, but there's a couple creatures running around here. We got 1 milk so far. Great. Very bad example. Still can't change the view. It's got an empty egg pocket. Why is it not collecting? Yeah, not much going on here. It says it's collecting. These guys have empty egg pockets. Recently milked. Recently milked. Egg pocket empty. Egg pocket empty. So we should be getting stuff, but we don't appear to be. Oh, there we go. It looks like it's working now. It's collecting something. See? Maybe when we go out of range, it empties. There's an egg. There's some milk. More eggs. More milk. Could just be a little bit of a delay. But that's how that machine works. in conjunction with the automated feeder. You take these raw materials, these raw goods, you throw them in the nutrient processor, and it'll show you what they make. Tall eggs, for instance, make baked eggs. And that's just on their own. Now, some items, obviously there's 3 slots there, you can combine up to 3 items, which when I made the fruity ice cream, the pudding, and the stellar custard, that's what I had to do, is combine 3 items to do that. I believe the cocoa may have been as well. The meat stew is basically just 2 types of meat. We'll take a look at what these beans do too. So there's our baked eggs. These impulse beans we just got, you can throw them in there and you get, oh, bittersweet cocoa. So it's not a, okay, so that wasn't a big deal getting that stuff. All right, I forgot where I got that from. I made it so long ago. And then stuff like wild milk turns into cream. And there's several different types of milk you can get. And you can make a couple different types of creams. There's a bone cream, a proto cream, and then just this regular cream. There's several different types of eggs that'll get you the baked eggs. But the eggs seem to work better when you're combining them with other items. So for as long as you want to do this, you do it. Then you can just empty out your feeder. And wait a minute or two, because more stuff will load into the livestock unit here and get harvested. See, there's already an egg in there. It really depends on how much time you have and how much time you want to dedicate to doing this kind of stuff. But the cooking part was a lot of fun. It was very rewarding. And it's interesting to see how it impacts those frigates, because now all of a sudden those absolutely crappy frigates that we had that were C class at least have one decent stat, so they're ready for a specific type of mission, as opposed to just being this garbage frigate that really has no redeeming stats, and I really don't want to send it out on any mission other than as a maybe tag it along with some higher ones to level it, you know. But that's that. Eventually, when I get more of these guys up to S class, we'll really look at maybe making them specialized in a certain way. You know, we have 30 of them all together. There's 4 different specialties, so having 7 specialized in each of those would be great. You know, you got 28 of them, and then you have 2 extras that you could just have them to be a little more broad in scope. You know, they're just kind of good for anything, right? Now, if you want meat, like to make the meat stew then, and this is all done, you can just go around and shoot all the creatures that have been attracted to your feeder, and then when you get back to the planet, they'll load back in. So at my Sentinel base, I had just done that. Woohoo, Superman, Aquaman. So let's go back there and see what has reloaded. Did I take the pellets? I did, okay. So let's go back to that one. That was a great source of milk to make a ton of cream, and there was also some other stuff there. So, oh, there it is, Sentinel. Got a picture for it. So I'm going to look into creating top tier food items, kind of see what the best ones are. And before we go, I'll show you one other thing you can do with these food items that will be to your benefit. Especially if you find yourself lacking room in your inventory and, you know, unable to really utilize them. Alright, so we're back here at our Sentinel base. And we murdered every animal in this area last time we were here. We killed a bunch of Sentinels. We were kind of sneaky about it because we put food in the feeder, and then when they all came up and we got everything we wanted from them, we just unleashed hell. So I believe they spawned back in. This will be a test. Yeah, there's already somebody coming. Look, little fella. There's one guy. Now, if you have several bases, and what I recommend doing is collecting the different types of food that creatures provide from those different bases. Now, you can build these, you know, individually at every base, or you could just decide to pick them up and move from base to base. Sorry about all the yawning. I'm exhausted today. It's been a long day. Oh, look, we have an unrecognized creature over here. He's just a little feller. Let's see what he has in him. Wild milk. Okay. So, oh, we got a question mark there. So we got another creature coming up. It does attract them from a distance. Not, you know, it's not going to pull them from on the other side of the mountain, but, you know, from way over there. But look, they're running up the hill here. Maybe we'll attract that guy down there. This guy looks like he might be heading our way. That's pretty awesome. We have any other... You got Star Bramble way out there. Some more of those impulse beans to make the cocoa. More Star Bramble. Impulse beans. So if you plan on doing some cooking, you know, I generally, as I ran around in the game, I would collect impulse beans and the wheat and all the other animals that show up, or all the other plants that show up from those little leaf icons, and just, you know, get a stack of each of them and stick them in a box for later for cooking. So there we got some milk. Alright. We'll pull this out and get ready to skedaddle on out of here. But first, we'll get ourselves a nice view, right? Alright, so thanks for joining me today for another episode of No Man's Sky, looking at the living frigates and how food affects them. That was only a small portion of the amount of food that's available in this game. There's so much out there, literally hundreds of different recipes you can cook. I think the higher the level of the recipe, the better the food. So it's gonna be kind of neat to work my way up to making some of these really good dishes that are really high level. Oh, but you know what? Let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing before we go on, because let's say you made all this food and you got your frigates where you want. Now, you can eat food in-game, and, you know, it'll have various effects. It'll tell you what it does to you. Sometimes it'll replenish your health a little bit. Sometimes it'll replenish your... I think it gives you a little more stamina for 15 seconds. There's just a variety of things. I think it replenishes oxygen sometimes. So there's a few different things it can do for you. And that's one way to use it. And another good way is to go into the anomaly. And we've got a connoisseur in here. That's cool looking ship. That's really cool. So yeah, we've got... stuck. So we'll go past the Nexus. And past the Quicksilver guy, we'll hang a left. And run all the way up. That's a big boy. Holy crap. Should give him some food. So right over here, we've got this fella. Cronus. And what Cronus does is he'll take your food and judge it. And look at that, I got 70 nanites for that food. So a stack of 50 can get you quite a bit of nanites, especially if you got some good stuff there. So, and it varies from each one we give him, right? So that one was average. So we get 40 nanites. We'll do one more just to see what it looks like, and we'll move on. Quite honestly, I don't have the patience to do this all day, but you might. that one got us 10. So absolute garbage on that one. So yeah, it's really a crapshoot with Kronos and what he gives you for your various cooked items. So, you know, beware of that. Get back over to the Cardinal Sin, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So thanks for joining me. As always, I'm Captain Beefy here with the Game Vault. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. And don't forget to leave a comment on the video. Let me know if you've done any cooking in the game, and if you have, what you enjoyed baking and what you did with it, how you used it, and if you've experimented with those living frigates and the food, and you know what kind of results you got out of it. Have you found a specific meal that really works for you, or really did something great, really upped maybe all the stats? Because that's the goal right there, is to find something that will up all the stats. And as I continue with my cooking journey here, and I find something that does that, I will definitely share that information. So I'll see you next time.